Welcome to Simon's New York Stories, Volume 6. And this is going to be, I'm just going to wrap up a couple of loose ends from number 5. I got 2 more stories. It's on the same theme of, Brooklyn and the Italian wedding band and the mafia. So, the first one is, like I said, I was, the whole way I learned, all this stuff, okay, from Mike DeBetta, from John Sirocco, from Leo DeBetta, Mike's dad, when I was playing in the Italian wedding band in Bath Beach, and Bensonhurst, and Rockaway, and Howard Beach, and Staten Island, and sometimes the Bronx too. We'd play up there, right? So that's the whole way that I learned a lot of things about life and also about my city. For example, all these guys in the band, they all drove Cadillacs. Everybody. John Sirocco had like a baby blue Cadillac convertible with white leather upholstery. When Mike DeBetta, he came up, he had a yellow, like a canary yellow Cadillac Coupe de Ville 2-door. And he comes to pick me up. He goes, "Look, I got the new Cadillac. Forget about it. Forget about it." And that's the first time I ever heard "forget about it." You didn't hear that in Forest Hills or in Manhattan. And just little things like that, like besides everything I learned about music, because we played everything. We played all the pop hits of the day, but we played Sinatra. We played a lot of swing too, like Glenn Miller, Benny Goodman. These guys were incredible jazz musicians. So anyway, one day I got to go to a gig. I forget where the gig was, but I would take the subway to Brooklyn, and then Mike would pick me up. He usually picked me up on 86th Street, on that line. It's the West End line. Like now it's the D train. When I was a kid, it was the B train. So he usually picked me up, somewhere around there, right? Like Bay Parkway Station. So he picks me up, and it's the morning. We're going to like a noon start wedding. I probably got a headache. I'm not, I was never an early riser back when I was a kid. So he's like, hey kid, you read the papers? You heard what happened last night? You heard what happened yesterday? You read the papers?" I was like, "No, Mike, I didn't look at the paper." He was like, "You didn't read the news? What's the matter with you? Are you illiterate?" I was like, "No, Mike." He goes, "They got Uncle Carmine. They got Uncle Carmine. They got him. They got him in Bushwick." I was like, "Who's Uncle Carmine?" And Mike was furious. He's got the cigar, and he just takes 2 fingers, pokes it right in my soul. "What the fuck is the matter with you? Are you a fucking hick? What kind of farm did you come off of? Motherfucker! Carmine Galante! Look at this!" And he whips out the newspaper, and there's Carmine Galante dead on the ground with his eye shot out and the cigar still in his mouth. The cigar was still lit, and he shot, "Uncle Carmine!" And he slaps me again. So that was like 79. That was like when they killed Carmine Galante on Knickerbocker Avenue and Troutman Street in the back of a restaurant. So then this other one, this is probably around the same time. And I'd been in the wedding band business. We call it club date. I'd been in the club date business for a while now, and I walked by this little restaurant near my mom's house, and there was this trio playing, and they were 3 older African American gentlemen, and there was a guy playing an organ. And there was another guy playing a Fender Telecaster bass, which has always been my favorite bass, and he was playing it left-handed upside down, right? And then there was a guy playing drums, and they were fantastic. And they were playing Mac the Knife, I remember. And then they played Honky Tonk by Bill Doggett. And I was like, this was some kind of like Upper East Side yuppie restaurant. Like, you know, like I really, like I could barely go in there looking the way I look. But I go up to the guys, like, hey man, you guys are great. Can I sit in? Can I sit in? And they go, yeah, 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 kid. And I'll be right back. And I went to my mom's house. I had my guitar and my amp over there at that point. So I grabbed my guitar and my amp and I lugged it about 5 blocks down the street. And I sat in with these guys, the Frank Johnson Trio. And I jammed with them. And they were playing like Honky Tonk and they played oh man, I don't remember. I just remember they killed fucking Mac the Knife, which I love that song anyway. So, so many years ago. I'm sorry, this is like 40 some odd years, 42 years ago. So, anyway, they said, hey, kid, you want to play a gig with us? We got this gig out in Brooklyn. We could use a guitar player. I was like, hell yeah. So we exchanged phone numbers. So this gig was at the Hollywood Inn, okay, which was. It was on Meeker Avenue and not Graham. What's the next one up from Graham? Not Bushwick Avenue, but I think it was like on like Meserole Street and Meeker Avenue, like under the BQE. And this was the Hollywood Inn, right? And it said Hollywood Inn, and what so I show up, and they had a manager too, and she was this lady. She had these weird braids on her head, right? So her hair, it was like these big discs, one on each side of her head. It looked like Mickey Mouse ears, like giant Mickey Mouse ears. They were all like rolled up, so it was like 2 giant Mickey Mouse ears this lady had on her head. I remember that. So I go, they had a manager, they introduced me. So we start playing, and it's Greenpoint, Brooklyn. It's probably like 1970, 1979, something like that, yeah. So we're playing, and yeah, I went all the way out there on the train and everything, and then I had to walk about 20 blocks with my guitar and my amp, but playing the gig, and these guys are just fantastic. And, you know, it's a neighborhood kind of Brooklyn place, and then this guy comes in, all right? And he's a heavy set guy, big shoulders, big, kind of tough looking guy. There's a lot of tough guys in this joint anyway. But this guy looked like a tough guy, but he had really thin, small, mean lips. He had these big kind of, like the 70s, the big glasses people wore back then. His hair, he had this thinning hair, slicked straight back with a lot of grease in his hair, tight on his head. And he's with this woman much younger than him. Like, this guy's probably around 50, and he's with this woman who's like 21, 22 years old. And they sit down at a table. I remember they were sitting at the table in the middle room, so we didn't think nothing about it. We're playing. And all of a sudden, this guy, he gets up and he starts beating the crap out of this lady. Like, boom! Like, he takes her apart. Like, this, like, the guy knew what he's beating her, and he grabs her by the hair. And I'm like, you know, like, I grew up with, you know, like, I grew up in my household, you know, like, there was violence against women. So I was like, I started, and I was like, what the fuck do I do now? And so I took a step, and I'll never forget this. Frank Johnson grabbed me by the fucking ear and twisted. And he was like, listen to me, young boy. Listen to me, young un. You see that man over? He grabs me. He goes, see that man over there? Don't do nothing. Don't do nothing. He the mafia. He the mafia. He gonna kill you. He gonna kill you. And this guy, this whole bar is full of like big Greenpoint. It's not like Greenpoint now with the hookers and not hookers. I mean the hipsters. It's not like Brooklyn now with the hipsters and you know the fucking tofu head people. Oh, I love tofu. I eat that shit all the time. But you know what I mean. This was like old Brooklyn, like a big, tough, like firemen, cops, longshoremen, truck drivers. That's the kind of bar this was. And nobody did a thing, right? He the mafia. And so like they laughed. I played, and then I wanted to go home, but the rest of the band cut out. So the manager lady with the big Mickey Mouse braids, she was like, "Oh, we can't pay you. We can't pay you. There's no money. There's no money." So I kind of got stiffed on the money, and I was a very kind of, I don't know. So, but what I didn't know is right around the corner on Graham and Richardson was the Motion Lounge, and this was the big mob hangout. Okay, and the guys that hung out in this place, the Motion Lounge, this was in the book and the movie, Donnie Brasco. That's where all the mob guys that were in the Donnie Brasco case, where the FBI agent infiltrated the mob, that was their club. That was their hangout. Members only Motion Lounge. And years later, I'm reading the Donnie Brasco book, and there's the guy. There's his face, the mean, thin lips, the scowl, the thinning, slick back hair with the grease, the same glasses. That they must have taken a picture of him, the same fucking glass, like those big, square, kind of rose-tinted, like late 70s glasses. There's the guy, and his name was Booby. That was his street name. I'm not, that was his street name, Booby. You'll have to look at the book to get his real name because I saw him. I was like, holy shit, that's the fucking guy. Because I played right around the corner from this whole Donnie Brasco place. I didn't know it. The fuck did I know about anything? So, okay, that kind of wraps. Here's my third and last Italian wedding band story. And we're playing somewhere in Brooklyn. I think we're playing on Coney Island Avenue and Kings Highway. And Tiny Tim walks in with his ukulele. It turns out he got hired to play a set at this wedding. So Tiny Tim, tiptoe through the tulips. Fucking Tiny Tim walks in, grabs his ukulele, and we back him up for a set of his hits. These guys in the Eddie D Orchestra, they knew all the tunes. These guys knew any tune. It was just like effortless. It was nothing in them to play any fucking song. I'm so lucky that I got to go way out into Brooklyn and learn a little bit about that way of life, and I learned all this fantastic shit from playing with these guys, and also a lot of style points, not so much on tuxedos, but just, on old vocabulary shit. So, all right, boys and girls, that's my Simon New York stories for tonight. Love you. Thank you.